Hello YouTube, once again No Show is back with another video for you guys, and today I am reviewing the Marvel Legends 10th Anniversary Series, Thanos, Iron Man, and Doctor Strange 3-pack, which is from the Infinity War series of the 10th Anniversary wave. This is the number 10th pack, and overall, just what I want to say from the beginning is there are points about this pack that make it absolutely amazing or absolutely deteriorate its main advantages and are basically its weaknesses. So I'm gonna start with the Iron Man, then I'll move on to Doctor Strange, then finally to Thanos. So let's take a look at Iron Man. So I've got to say, the paint application on the Iron Man is quite amazing, but the main problem with this thing is that the color of red, the shade of red they chose to go along with this Iron Man, it doesn't really match what color of the Mark 50 armor we showed in the Infinity War movie. This is just too bright, and this just looks like plastic to me, and that in my sense just makes it, just degrades it in my sense a bit, because Iron Man is supposed to look like he's made out of iron, not plastic. So taking a look at the head, I've got to say, the sculpt work is amazing. Just phenomenal. They just nailed it on the sculpt work. The paint applications are good, but not perfectly clean. There's a chip on the bicep swivel there. It's lacking a bit of gold paint. And down here, when you go down here, you can see that the torso piece and the upper half, or the upper part of the leg, is a different color than the rest of the body and the rest of the figure. It's just a darker shade, and it actually looks better than what the other shades of red there are on this figure. And this red is definitely more movie accurate than this one. So I don't really know why Hasbro does this, and just there's so much there's just so much unbalance, yeah, that's the word, between the colors on Hasbro's figures. It's just that the torso piece and the upper part of the leg is generally, every time, it's different than all the other parts of the body. It's just a weird little thing that happens with their figures, but overall the paint application, this is amazing. I really like it. But probably biggest feature about this figure that is different than the original release is that it has the arc reactor, which actually functions. It lights up. Now, there are two modes for this arc reactor function. You can see there's a switch right here. If you turn it on and it's on the left side, it turns on for 7 seconds. And it's really bright, so it won't really come out too great on the camera, but believe me, it works really well. So that one turned out for 7 seconds, and if you flip it to the right side, it actually works for 17 seconds, so a bit more than 7 seconds. So you do have options, like if you're taking photographs of Iron Man with his arc reactor light on, then you should probably go for the one on the right. You should switch it on to the right. And if you're like generally showing your friends like it does light up, you should probably go for the left one. Now, because of the function of the arc reactor lighting up, there's this weird piece in the back, which is basically just a panel for the batteries. So you can insert batteries and change them And there's a screw right there, which is probably the worst part about this figure. And I don't mind the little bit less articulation with more photographic options, but it just limits the articulation so much because you have no waist swivel, no abdomen swivel, no front rocker on the abdomen, no back rocker. It's just like plain. So there's this button right there which you press to light up the arc reactor. You can see the paint right here is really cool. Let me just focus. Paint right here is very cool. Even in the gaps, you can see some silver color painted in. That is a really nice level of detailing right there. The blue is like a baby blue, a translucent, not translucent, but a bright baby blue, which almost looks like it's lighted up, and it is an actual light instead of just plastic painted on. And on the back of the legs, it's pretty plain. You got the barcode number right there, and things like that. So the sculpt work is all there. The paint work is phenomenal, but just the overall look of this figure and the overall functionality in terms of articulation, it just levels it down a bit. And you can still put it in super poses. Even standing like that, he just looks awesome. And that basically hits it out of the ballpark for me in terms of articulations. So I don't much care for the articulation on this particular armor because most people were not satisfied with the amount of accessories they gave him. In the normal pack, he came with 2 fisted hands, the open hands with holes in them to peg the repulsor blasts, and it's basically the same accessories here with a bit different functionality. So let's take a look at those accessories. So first of the few accessories is the fisted hand, which is done really nice. It has the gold plating and the gold coloring on the hand plates right there. I don't know what they're called per se. And the fingers are sculpted really nicely. You can see the repulsor right there. I wish they painted it. I wish they painted it like a blue or a white, because that would have just looked more realistic. So you get those 2 fisted hands. Then you get these 2 open palm hands, which are basically the repulsor blasting hands, and they do have peg holes in them, so you can't really pose them without the repulsor blasts in it, unless you got like a really nice angle like that or something, so that you don't see the peg holes. And even these are done really well. I mean, the sculpting, as I said, Hasbro just knocked it out of the ballpark with this one. And you can see the finger sculpture right there. And these 2 hands don't have a hinge on them. They do swivel, but they don't hinge. So it's basically just for flying or blasting away enemies. Then you finally get these 2 blue translucent effects for the repulsors, and these look really good. I mean, the translucency of them is perfect. They were blue in the movie, so that is movie accurate. And if you wanted to switch those out, just take them out, and you could put them in the feet, because the feet do have peg holes on them, and it will simulate him flying. So if you had 2 of these figures, or even some of the previous Iron Man figures that had the same accessory in a blue color, you would be able to like just make it work out so that he has repulsors both on his feet and on his hands, so it actually looks like he's flying. But because he doesn't, so you can't really do that right now if this is the only Iron Man figure in your collection, like it is with me. Talking about Tony Stark's articulation, the head does move up a lot, so it's really good for like flying poses and looking up to the sky and seeing if Thanos is dropping down on him. And he does look down really well, so you can stimulate emotions like he's sad or things like that. He does swivel his head side to side. It can actually rotate 360 degrees. It does pivot just a tiny bit, not much. The arms rotate all the way around. They move outwards just a bit more than 90 degrees. You get bicep swivel, which is kind of tight. I guess I didn't use it before. You get bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, which bend in a lot more than 90 degrees, so that's good. Swivel in the wrists and a hinge in the wrists, which go down that much. And because of the sculpt, it is hindered a bit going up, but it still works. There is no torso articulation because of the light up feature. I do think that they could have added torso articulation. If not at the abdomen section, they could have added it at the waist, and they could have made the light up feature just a separate thing, and it would have been the perfect figure for your collection. Then for the legs, they do move up about 90 degrees, and not much more than that. They do move back a bit, so that's nice. They do move outwards that much, so Iron Man can do the splits definitely. You get upper thigh cut, which swirls around really nicely, but it just breaks apart the design, the gold design that you've got there. Then you get double jointed knees, which bend in a lot, which is really nice for a guy in a suit, an iron suit. Then the ankles do rock downwards, they do rock upwards, and you do get ankle pivot, so that is really nice. And you do get peg holes at the bottom, as I mentioned before, so you can attach like stands in there if you want to, and it works with it. It works really nice, and this is just a great Iron Man figure. If you were wanting an Iron Man figure and you don't really like the character very much, I do like Iron Man very much, but currently, this is probably the only figure of Iron Man I need in my collection. And now we're talking about Doctor Strange as he falls down. So this Doctor Strange figure is just completely phenomenal. I think they just nailed it with the head sculpt. The previous Doctor Strange figure, it was just a disgusting head sculpt. It didn't look anything like Benedict Cumberbatch at all. So this is definitely an improvement, and I'm so glad that I waited for this one. The major downfall of the figure is that you get these time stone effects on his right arm, but you can't remove them. You can remove the hand if you want to, but it doesn't make a big difference because you still have that green time stone effect on his arm. I'm sure you could remove it if you wanted to. After all, it's the same sculpt as the previous one, and the previous one didn't have this time stone effect. And for the detailing on this figure, it's just awesome, man. The sculpting, you can see the inner clothing, whatever he's wearing. I don't know if it's shirt. I don't know if it's appropriate to call it that. Then you can see the outer skirt type thing. You can see the belts, all the belts. I don't know why he needs those many belts. And I do have some minor paint defects right there. It's like black splashed on right there. The inner legs are, I think they're reused from a figure. I don't remember from the top of my head which one, but they kind of look new. I don't really know. On the back of the figure, it's just the cape of levitation, or the cloak of levitation. I'm so sorry. You can remove it, and it does peg on with a peg that is on the cloak. And the Doctor Strange figure does have a peg hole on the back, and it's sculpted really nicely on the back too. It's the same thing for the frock thing, or whatever, man. Don't really know what to call it. And you can see the Eye of Agamotto is moving around because it's a removable piece too. Let me just bring it closer to you. As I focus on that, you can see that it does have some light up green effects, which is supposed to simulate Doctor Strange actually using the time stone. So that is accurate to the figure. and it looks really nice. It's sculpted nicely. It just sits on his neck just like that. It's really flush, and it doesn't it doesn't look like it's the piece the Eye of Agamotto is actually sculpted on, and that is a big plus for me. Taking a look at the cloak of levitation, you can see that the inner part of the cloak is painted with it's dry brush with the black on the red, and it does have a really nice texture. You can see the cloak does have some gold bits around there, and that does look really good. On the back, it's sculpted really nice. This piece right here, the circular piece, it's supposed to mean that this piece is supposed to sit on his shoulder. So if you put it back on, you can see that this piece hangs more on his shoulder than the right one. So that's what it's supposed to mean. Then you get the really nice lining. It's almost like they just put most of their effort on this cape. They put more effort on this cape than this Iron Man. I don't really know why, man. It's just sculpted and painted so well. I mean, there's not a lot of paint on the back, and it does have creases right there. It's got some really nice and natural looking creases. And overall, Doctor Strange figure is definitely an add to a figure you should add to your collection, because it's just an awesome figure. I think what just makes it a definite figure for your collection is the head sculpt, because even SH Figure Arts or Bandai Tamashii have nailed Benedict Cumberbatch, and they definitely have. Hasbro has definitely done it. You can see the grays on the sides, temples, and the hair sculpt is so nice. It just looks so much like Benedict Cumberbatch to me. So talking about the accessories on this figure. First of the accessories is this left open hand, which is supposed to look like he's doing some sort of magic or thing like that. The right hand unfortunately, it doesn't have an interchangeable part, because it does have the time stone effect. But for the left hand, you can just pop it out really easily, and you can insert this hand, which is supposed to hold the magic effect, which I'm going to show just right now. And this magic effect is just awesome. It's like a mix of yellow and orange. I don't really know if you can see that well on camera. You can definitely get some shadowing on there. And he just holds it like a shield. So it's kind of lame, but at the same time, it's awesome. Sculpting on the magic effect is great. You can see the symbols, the ancient symbols right there. Then you can see the pattern in the center. It's just really nicely sculpted. And even in the back, you can see all that detailing. So if you're taking tricky shots like this, so you can still see all the detailing of the magic effect, and it doesn't look bland. So that is definitely nice touch. And in the articulation department, Doctor Strange is really good, but he does suffer from the traffic cone syndrome, and I'll get to that later. So the head does move a lot. It does go up really nicely, and it does look natural, so that's a big plus. It does go down about that much. He can bury his chin in his neck, and his head can swivel side to side, and it does have really nice pivot for some expressions like, "Oh, seriously, Tony." And for his arms, it's just a bit weirdly sculpted. It can move all the way around. Then the thing is, they don't really go down all the way, and it just looks a bit unnatural to me. It just looks like his shoulders are a bit lower than they're supposed to be. They should be like right about there, and they're just a bit lower, because his neck is a bit high. And the head sculpt does sit a bit high because of the cape or the cloak of levitation. I keep saying cape, I don't really know why. And arms do move outwards a bit more than 90 degrees. They do get bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, which are really bad on the right side because they're hindered because of the time zone effect, but on the left side they do bend in a lot more, which is really nice. Then you get a swivel in the wrist and a hinge in the wrist, which moves up and down really nice. Then you get a waist articulation point, which is basically a ball stuck into the middle of the thighs there, and it just rotates around really awesome. It moves forward about that much, it moves back, and it doesn't create any gaps because it's sculpted all the way through, and it does pivot side to side, and it does swivel. So because of this figure suffering from the traffic cone syndrome, he does kick forward, but a bit, but only by stretching this material, which is I think it's a bit delicate. Oh, look, that's exactly what I meant, because this material is delicate, but God damn it, I gotta try this. That doesn't look too bad. Bet no one tried that. I gotta fix that off camera now. So just to show you, I was right. It does have a ball right there, and it just connects to the inner torso. And yeah, I'm not going through that again. Damn it, I put it the wrong way. Yeah, so I'm not going through that again. The legs do kick forward, but I'm not trying more than that. They do kick backwards, and they do move outward, but it's all hindered because of the traffic cone syndrome. Get upper thigh cut, which is really tight, man. It's really tight. Get upper thigh cut, get double jointed knees, which are difficult to bend because of traffic cone syndrome, and they do bend in about that much. Then you get boot rotation, which swivels side to side really nice. Ankles move down, they do move up, and it does have ankle pivot. He does have ankle pivot, and it does have peg holes on the bottom of his feet. And finally, we talk about the Mad Titan. Now, I did lower my brightness of my lamp a bit because this figure just reflects a lot of light. And this figure is just awesome, man. I can't get over how nice it is. It's just so beautifully sculpted. The paintwork is so good on this. It's basically a repaint of the Build-A-Figure Thanos from the Infinity War Wave #1, but it just looks so much more awesome than that one. That one had a smirking face, and that's about all the accessories it came with, and it did have a lot of purplish and really bright purple shade of purple. Wow, that's just amazing, isn't it? Take two. A really bright shade of purple, and this one just looks awesome. Cause it just looks movie accurate to me, and that's probably the only thing that I want with my Marvel Legends. That's probably the only thing that I want with my movie Marvel Legends, should I say. Looking at the detailing of this figure, it's just so enormous, man. Gotta bend his knees so you can take a look better. Yeah, so the head sculpt is just so amazing. This is the head sculpt that it does come out with from the packaging, and it's just so awesome, man. You can see the eyes right there. They do have purple shading around them. And the teeth, the grins and teeth are just awesome. You can see the birthmarks on Thanos' chin and around his eyes right there, which is awesome. And you can see the ears sculpted really nicely. I have a near perfect paint job on this figure. I think I have a perfect paint job on this figure. I have not seen any paint defects on it. It's just a bit of sculpt defect, and I think that's because of me removing it harshly from the packaging, but it's just awesome, man. You can probably not see, if I darken my settings a bit, then you can probably see there's a golden design right there on the shoulder piece and the chest piece. And it just looks awesome. I don't really think the Build-A-Figure had this design. I don't recall so, man. Brighten my settings up a bit again, and sculpt work is just amazing. You can see the texture in the chest area, and you can see this belt piece and the skirt piece, which is just a separate piece. It just moves up and down. You can like adjust it according to your will. On the back, this is the paint defect or the sculpt defect I was talking about. I think this is just because of me removing harshly from the packaging. You can see some gold on the back too, and the black. It's just got really nice shades of black around here. Now for the pants, it's kind of a grayish shade. I don't really know what to call it. I don't want to call it olive green because it's not. It's just like a really mixture of a really light brown and olive green, and it looks nice. It looks movie accurate to me, and you can see the knee pads right there. They're sculpted really nicely, and they are gold too. And on the feet right there, the boots, you do see some creases right there, and sculpt work on the feet is also nice. You don't get much paint work on the feet, but you do get sculpt work. So not a bad choice from Hasbro, but I think they could have painted the straps a different color or just gave it a different shade of black to make it pop out. And the skirt piece from the back, it does have gold, and it's just like it's got a piece right there, it's got a flap right there, and it's got a flap right there. They're not separate, but it does look like they are. And then you got some creases even in the joint back here. And finally, taking a look at the Infinity Gauntlet, it just looks awesome, man. It just looks so awesome. So awesome. It's got all the Infinity Stones on there, and the Time Stone also looks good. It just has a bit of paint chipping right there. I don't really know if you guys can see that, but it's got a bit of paint chip right there. Even right there, it's got a bit of paint chip, but it's nice, man. I don't really mind that. Now the sculpt work on it is absolutely awesome. You can see the detailed carvings on the gauntlet. You can see on the back right there, on the sides. On the other side, you can see it right there too. And on the back of the gauntlet is just lion sculpture right there, and it is painted all a bronze color with like goldish hue to it, and it just looks like it's been in battle for a while. And even the inner part of the glove, it actually looks awesome. It's sculpted really nicely. So moving to the accessories department of this Thanos, I just really want to say that this Thanos is awesome, man. The sculpt work and the paint job is just awesome. The accessories are awesome too. Not many accessories, actually just one accessory, the Thanos, but it's awesome. Now the first accessory is this head sculpt, which is basically a granite teeth, and I did show this before, but just popping this off and putting the other head on there, which is a bit tight to do, but it does pop on right there. And that is definitely my preferred head for Thanos, because he just looks so calm, like he's about to snap his fingers and destroy half of humanity, or half of the universe to be precise. Wasn't it half of the universe? I think it was. Yeah, it was, because he said to Tony Stark that you have won my honor, or something like that. When I snap my fingers, half of humanity will still be alive. So I think that this head sculpt just portrays Thanos a bit better from the movie than the other one, which just fell down. Than this one, because I think this calm portrayal of Thanos is just a better one from the movie. For comics, this one might be better because Thanos was mostly angry in the comics. And oh, one thing I forgot to mention was that this figure does have a newly sculpted hand. The left hand for the Infinity Gauntlet on the Build-A-Figure, it was a fist hand, and on this one it's an open hand. But we were talking about the head, right? So even the ears are sculpting nicely on this one. Don't see any paint defects. The scars or the birthmarks are there too. And it just looks awesome to me. On the back of the head, you can see some bit of folded up skin right there, which is just awesome detailing for me. And I just love this Thanos figure. It's definitely a spot filler, if not the perfect Thanos, MCU Thanos figure for your collection. So, measuring out the heights in this figure, the Doctor Strange is standing right at about 6 inches tall, right about 6 inches tall. Then the Iron Man is standing about 6.5 inches tall, and the Thanos is standing right at 8 inches tall. So definitely a really nice size for all these characters. And Thanos just scales overall really well with all the Infinity War Marvel Legends. Here are all these figures next to Goku, the SHF Awakening version. And SHF, as you know, doesn't scale with Marvel Legends like too good. But if you wanted to make it work, like Goku fighting Thanos, you could definitely make it work and it will look awesome. And here are the figures compared with some action figures that I haven't reviewed yet. But I do have to review. I'm so late on reviews, man. I haven't uploaded for like 3-4 months, and I'm just so late on reviews. I've got a ton of figures to review. So in further like fights and days, I'll complete most of my reviews, and I'll be over with it. So in the right, you can see Wolverine there, the comic version from the X-Men wave, the latest X-Men wave. And here you have Scarlet Witch and Vision from the 2-pack, and here you have Star-Lord. And they do scale really well with all the 3 figures. And here are the 3 figures compared to more figures, out of which half of them I haven't reviewed, like Proxima Midnight and Red Skull. But I have reviewed Spider-Punk and Black Panther, so if you want to check out those reviews, go check it out on my channel. And Red Skull scales, I think it scales well with Thanos, but I don't really think it scales well with like Iron Man or Doctor Strange, because I think he's just too short for them. Red Skull, in my mind, is a person who is a leader. He's a tactician. He's Captain America's height, or just a tad bit smaller. And then you have Proxima Midnight right here, which I haven't reviewed. And compared to Thanos, it's pretty well, man. And Proxima Midnight is a really tall character. And all these figures do scale really well. Black Panther actually scales amazingly well with all these figures. I didn't expect him to scale this well. And for comic figures, here we have Spider-Punk, which scales decently with Iron Man, and Thanos, but with Doctor Strange, it's just weird, man. Okay, so that's my review of the 3-pack Marvel Legends 10th year anniversary, Thanos, Iron Man, and Doctor Strange. And I've gotta say, if you don't have any of these 3 characters in your collection, you do need to pick these up because they're just amazing figures. Check out some other work that I've done. I've made a lot of more reviews on figures like Marvel Legends, SHF, and NECA, so go check that out on my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you in the next one. Sayonara, peace.